Jesus was no longer a quiet teacher in one village. Stories of his were traveling faster than he did. In one town, a man who couldn't walk stood up and walked home. In another, the blind opened their eyes. Crowds gathered as he taught. Some believed he was a prophet sent by God. Others wondered if something greater was unfolding. Whatever the explanation, one thing was clear. Wherever he went, miracles followed. So when he crossed the Sea of Galilee, the crowds followed along the shoreline, thousands of them. And with him were the 12, fishermen, a former tax collector, a political zealot. Ordinary men who had walked away from steady work and familiar routines to stay near him. They did not yet know where that path would lead, but they had chosen to follow him. That evening, as the sun began to fall, the crowd grew hungry. 5,000 men were counted, not including women and children, and they were far from any town. The disciples came to him and said, "This is a deserted place, and the hour is now late. Let's send the crowds away to buy food for themselves." But Jesus said to them, "They need not depart. You give them something to eat." They looked at what they had: 5 loaves, 2 fish. It wasn't enough. But he told them to bring it to him. Jesus took the loaves and the fish, looked up to heaven and blessed them, broke the bread and gave it to the disciples, and the disciples gave it to the crowd. They kept passing it out, and all ate and were filled. When the fragments were gathered, 12 baskets were left over. Only hours earlier, 5 loaves had seemed small in their hands. Now they were holding what remained. After the crowd had eaten, Jesus sent the disciples ahead by boat to the other side of the lake. He remained behind to send the crowds away. And when the people had gone, he went up on the mountainside alone to pray. By the time night settled in, the disciples were far from shore, and he was not with them. Darkness settled over the water. Then the wind began to rise. The waves battered the boat. The lake turned against them. Hour after hour, they strained at the oars. By the 4th watch of the night, just before dawn, they were still fighting the storm. Then they saw him, walking on the sea. They were troubled, saying, "It is a ghost." But immediately Jesus spoke to them. "Take courage. It is I. Do not be afraid." And Peter answered, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." "Come." That was all he said. Now, Peter could have stayed where he was. He could have convinced himself it was reckless. He could have waited for calmer water. Instead, he swung his legs over the side and stepped out. The cold hit first, then the uncertainty. And then, impossibly, it held. One step, then another. The wind pressed harder, the waves rose higher. For a moment, Peter walked toward Jesus, his eyes fixed forward with a steady heart. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid. The strength of it, the height of the waves, the reality of what he was standing on struck him. Then surface beneath him gave way, and he began to sink. He cried out, "Lord, Lord, save me, Lord." And immediately, Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him. Together, they climbed into the boat. And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Now they stood in a quiet boat, the wind stilled. The storm no longer against them, and what had once felt uncertain was suddenly clear. Hours earlier, they had seen bread multiply in their hands. Now they had seen the sea obey his presence. The wind had pressed them. The waves had tested them. The darkness had surrounded them. The storm had demanded a decision: stay seated or step forward. Peter stepped, not because the wind was calm, not because the outcome was certain, but because he was called. It's a powerful reminder that even in our biggest storms, faith can help us find peace. There will always be times when the wind rises again, moments when the shore feels far and the boat feels safer, moments when stepping forward feels unreasonable. Comfort will always offer you a seat. Fear will always offer you reasons. but the call will still come. And when that moment comes, the question will not be whether the storm is strong. It will be whether you are willing to answer when you are called. Will you stay seated or step forward?